POTV Go app එක දැන්ම දාගන්න. POTV Go SLT POTV TV බලන හොඳම විදිහ.
Tonight, swift to reject. The president yet again insists that he knew nothing of a planned terror attack. Dousing the excitement, politicians want the Select Committee probe to be behind closed doors. Easter blast economic fallout. The governor of the central bank optimistic of a revival.
Clearly there will be a hit, particularly in the tourism sector. There is enough of the economy that's untouched for us to have a robust bounce back.
All in vain. Special counsel Robert Mueller concedes.
Charging the president with a crime was not an option we could consider.
All that and much more coming up on First at 9 this Thursday, the 30th of May 2019.
AdaDerana ඇතුළත ඉදිමීම සමනය කරන අතර විනාඩි 5කින් ක්‍රියා කිරීම ආරම්භයි. AdaDerana දිවියට නව දිරයක්. AdaDerana වෙතින් එසේ කැක්කුමට විශේෂඥ AdaDerana Headfast ඉක්මනට සහනය අදම අත්විඳින්න.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to First to 9, a host of stories to report to you today. But we start off with your top story. President Maithripala Sirisena today rejected all claims which say that he was informed of a pending attack prior to Easter Sunday. He especially stressed that the topic did not come up during his meeting with senior police officials on the 8th of April this year. The head of state also rejected the state intelligence chief's assertion that the National Security Council last meeting was in February, 2 months before the Easter attacks.
President Maithripala Sirisena today said in a tweet that he was not informed of a threat of an attack during a meeting with senior police officers on the 8th of April this year. He refuted all media reports which allege otherwise. The head of state also went on to say that the Security Council convened every 2 weeks following changes to its structure after unofficial media reports regarding the proceedings of the council started emerging. Meanwhile, the President's media division responded to the remarks made by the State Intelligence Chief yesterday at the Parliamentary Select Committee probing the Easter Sunday attacks. DIG Cicero Mendes stated that the National Security Council last met in February prior to the Easter attacks. President's media division, however, said, quote, as there were media reports appearing unofficially on the proceedings of the NSC, it was decided to establish an NSC with a new format, and this has been in operation for more than 1 year, unquote. The announcement went on to say that the new National Security Council had been meeting every 2 weeks, and on some occasions, the President had convened the meetings every week. It also said that on 8th of April this year, the President had convened the monthly meeting with the Inspector General of Police and senior police officers. The meeting had lasted over 2 hours and none of the police officers informed the President of such advance reports on a possible terrorist attack. The announcement stresses that neither the Defence Secretary and the Inspector General of Police nor any other officer had informed the President about a letter of warning received from a friendly foreign country about the impending April 21st terrorist attack. The President therefore says that all media reports claiming that he was informed of the impending attack are absolutely false.
Sri Lanka's Minister for Tourism Development has assured the travel industry that the country is ready to welcome visitors following the deadly Easter Sunday terror attacks. John Amaratunga said the progress that has been achieved in the recovery process for Sri Lanka has been remarkable, and the Cabinet also approved the tourism PR campaign for the industry, according to reports. To discuss more on this, we've invited to our studios the head of the Tourism Promotion Agency for Sri Lanka, Mr. Kishu Gomez. Tell us about the master campaign, the PR campaign, master plan. You received cabinet approval, didn't you?
Yes, so we yet to receive the minutes of the cabinet meeting,
Right.
but we will receive it, very soon. Yeah, it has been approved, and we're waiting for it, for the past, couple of weeks. Now that it is approved, it's just a matter of, executing that plan together with the agency we have selected. So over the next, couple of weeks' time, we will obviously, go to our target markets and get the ball rolling and, try and rebuild confidence in them,
Right.
compelling them to relook at Sri Lanka for travel.
Is this PR campaign targeted especially for the aftermath of the Easter attacks, or is this a longer term plan?
No, it is simply to try and manage the sentiments that emerged out of this attack, and this is something all the other countries have done as well. We've looked at what other countries have done in similar situations, so this is exactly what other countries have done. So it's to address the ongoing issue.
How much are we spending on this campaign to revive the $4.4 billion industry?
Yeah, so it's a large team of professionals who are working on it. So it's not cheap. In fact, the investment is going to be 415 million rupees.
I see. Something I'd like to also touch about is what the minister himself said, that Sri Lanka is ready now. But we saw only a few countries softening their travel advice on Sri Lanka. How is this working about for you all?
Well, we had 30 travel advisories against Sri Lanka post-attack, but out of the 30, 14 countries have softened them, which is a significant achievement given that this is the 6th week after the attack. So all the big countries have relaxed it, like US, UK, Germany, India, China, Switzerland, Sweden, and 14 countries altogether. And with all these big countries softening it or lifting it, I'm sure over the next couple of weeks' time, we will see all the other countries, following suit. So that creates the environment for us to start playing our game effectively.
Finally, are you confident of a revival, full-scale revival, when we talk about tourism figures for this year?
Well, we will certainly recover fully, but we won't be able to achieve the annual target that we had at the beginning of the year. But full recovery is a must, and we shall, recover fully.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gomez, for your time. We had with us the chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Authority, Mr. Kushu Gomez, joining us. Well, we move on to our other local news tonight. Opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa drew comparisons between the conduct of the Security Council during his tenure and the present government. The head of state intelligence, DIG Cicera Mendes, told the Parliamentary Select Committee probing the Easter attacks yesterday that the Security Council last met in February prior to the spate of terror attacks. The former president was critical of the council's failure to convene and called it serious misconduct by those concerned.
It certainly is a joke. The Security Council convened once a week during my tenure, and it was a catalyst in ending the war. During those sessions, all those concerned gave information on the war as well as intelligence. We even convened once the war was over. It is terrible misconduct not to convene for 2 months. What it makes clear is that officials have not followed through with the obligations, and the leadership wasn't diligent either. It was said that an alert came from India on the 4th, but yesterday an official who testified before the Parliamentary Select Committee said he received it on the 9th. He doesn't know where he got it from, but even then, there hasn't been enough urgency to look into it. When they did convene, the matter wasn't discussed. There have been other occasions where his secretaries were arrested and released on the same day. The law is irrelevant to them since they are above it. That's the state of this country today.
Over 1,800 telephone numbers used to maintain links with the suicide bombers of Easter Sunday are currently under investigation by the Criminal Investigations Department. According to police media spokesperson SP Ruwan Gunasekara, 87 suspects are in custody of the Terrorist Investigation Division and the CID while they continue to be interrogated. Meanwhile, parliamentarian Vimal Weerawansa was extremely critical of media being allowed to give coverage of the Parliamentary Select Committee proceedings on the Easter Sunday attacks which convened yesterday.
Parliamentarian Vimal Weerawansa today was critical of media being allowed to give live coverage of the proceedings at the Parliamentary Select Committee probing the Easter Sunday attacks. Saying that previous Select Committee proceedings were not given live coverage, the MP called the Speaker to stop it immediately and to conduct proceedings behind closed doors in confidence. Meanwhile, the CID commenced investigations into 1,800 telephone numbers proven to have had contacts with the suicide bombers involved in the Easter attacks.
The investigations regarding 21st April attack are being successfully continued by CID and TID. 23 laptops, 3 desktops computers, 138 mobile phones and tabs, 30 external hard disks, 12 pen drives, 142 SIM cards and 67 DVR, CDs and DVDs were taken into custody and been analyzed by Criminal Investigation Department for the investigations on 21st April attack. In addition to that, more than 1,800 telephone numbers are being analyzed by Criminal Investigation Department. 66 suspects are in custody of Criminal Investigation Department and 21 suspects are in custody of Terrorist Investigation Division regarding the 21st April attack.
Meanwhile, the Muslim community in the area of Madatugama in Kakirawa yesterday demolished a mosque belonging to National Tawheed Jamaat. Chairman of the main mosque in the area, MHM Akbar Khan, stated that even though the facility is called a mosque, it was in fact a library built by a certain organization with funds from the Middle East. An area resident meanwhile added that it is imperative the Muslim community attend one mosque in the area, giving a sense of unity.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe once more reiterated the need for a new set of laws to combat the latest threat of terrorism in Sri Lanka, while insisting that a new set of counter-terrorism laws must be in place before the state of emergency is lifted. The Premier also pointed to lack of interdepartmental cooperation as a stumbling point. The Premier delivered his thoughts in Ampara today during the national ceremony to grant Samurdhi benefits to 600,000 families.
Today, both the ISIS and the NTJ are decimated. So what we have to do is to ensure that ISIS does not manifest in the future. We must not think this is the end, because these are not actions perpetrated by a large entity like the LTTE. They lost one group and another could be created. They don't have political aspirations. Their objective is to kill while committing suicide. We have to get ready for this. I reiterate that the existing laws are inadequate for this. A new set of laws will be required before the emergency status is lifted, and the Attorney General said he is paying attention to this. From these laws, the essential ones should be passed soon. We have to make a new sphere for counter-terrorism. Databases are essential to do these things, but we don't have them. Any country has a data sharing mechanism between the Department of Immigration and Immigration and the police. But until this incident happened, these departments objected to it, and I had to issue a directive for them to do it. We weren't even in association with the Interpol. Affiliations in these things can be ascertained by analysing data from various departments, and a vast network is required for it. We should have all the data on those who enter and leave our borders.
UPFA parliamentarian SP Dissanayake is of the view that all members of the All Ceylon Makkal Congress will distance themselves from Minister Risad Badiuddin if the minister is removed from his position. Whilst addressing a media briefing in Colombo today, MP Dissanayake also gave an alert on 2 other doctors who, in his view, should be investigated.
I know for a fact that Rishad Badiuddin is boasting about the powers of his 5 fellow members. If Rishad Badiuddin is removed from his position and if investigations begin by arresting him tomorrow, our sources say that all the MPs will break ties with him except for one. If an investigation is to be launched into a male and female doctor duo at the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital who were there during 2003-2004, there are many who would give evidence against them. They include those who conducted surgeries with them as well as hospital administration and some from the Peradeniya Medical Faculty. When doctors and nurses sense the situation, the male doctor gets himself transferred to Kalmune. According to hospital sources, the transfer was made by Rishad Badiuddin.
Rishad Badiuddin කියලා තමයි ඒ ආරෝග්‍ය ශාලා තොරතුරු අපට කියන්නේ.
The conjecture surrounding the doctor in Kurunegala, who is at the center of all unlawful sterilization scandal, keeps intensifying. Many more complaints against the doctor in question were lodged today as well, with over 300 mothers who had cesarean operations performed by him coming forward with complaints. Meanwhile, a complaint was also filed against a female as well as a male doctor regarding their alleged ill treatment of pregnant mothers, including physical violence.
92 mothers filed complaints at the Kurunegala Teaching Hospital today against Dr. Segu Siabdin Mohammed Shafi, who was arrested recently.
බබාලා දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවා. පළවෙනි බබා සීස කරලා හම්බුනේ. ඒ බබා සිංහල ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක්. දෙවෙනි බබා තමයි මේ සාපි ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් සීස කරේ. දැන් මේ 2017 පස්වෙනි මාසේ 8 වෙනිදා තමා කරේ. දැන් මම තව බබෙක් බලාපොරොත්තුෙන් ඉන්නවා. තාම නෑ. මගේ සීස එක කරේ 2011 6 අවුරුදු 8ක් වෙනවා මට දැන් තාම බබාලා නෑ.
Meanwhile, 8 other mothers whose cesarean operations were performed by the accused doctor during his time at the base hospital in Dambulla also lodged complaints with police stations of Dambulla, Sigiriya and Galewila.
හිටියේ ශාෆි ડોක්ටර් අවසාන මේ ස්කෑන් එකේදී කිව්වා අම්මේ මට නෝමල් හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ සීස කරන්න වෙන්නේ කියලා. දැන් මගේ පුතාට අවුරුදු 5යි තාම බබෙක් නෑ මට.
Meanwhile, the 6-member committee chaired by Director of the Ministry of Health Dr. Anil Samaranayake to look into allegations against Dr. Shafi Mohammed is expected to hand over their interim report to the Secretary of the Health Ministry by tomorrow. The full report on their findings will be handed over to the ministry during the month. Secretary to the Health Ministry Vasanta Pereira meanwhile issued a statement claiming that due to attempts by certain parties to disrupt the proceedings, the 6-member committee is currently unable to conclude their work regarding these allegations against Dr. Shafi. Former Central Provincial Councillor Thushara Swarnatilaka meanwhile filed a complaint at the Peradeniya police station today against a female as well as a male doctor regarding their alleged ill treatment of pregnant mothers, including physical violence.
I asked the public to lodge complaints at the Peradeniya police station or Peradeniya Teaching Hospital against Dr. Shiraz and Dr. Sirin, who conducted cesarean operations on mothers since 2013. Give them the deserved punishment over this national crime they committed.
A mother who underwent a cesarean operation at the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital voiced her experience to media today.
In the meantime, Minister of Finance Mangala Samaravira is of the view that prisons are running the risk of being breeding grounds for future terrorists. The minister cautioned over the possibility while addressing a media briefing today.
It is reported that the Muslim community is harassed in various avenues in society. Allegedly, some women covering their head without necessarily wearing a niqab are harassed. They are even harassed at schools. The other thing is that let's not fill prisons with innocent Muslims. There was suspicion of the media secretary at my ministry and they looked into it. They understood that there's nothing there and they released him. I request not to make prisons the breeding grounds for terrorists.
And we have your business news coming up after this short break. Welcome back. The Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, is confident that Sri Lanka's economy will bounce back robustly despite the hit to tourism and retail sectors following the Easter Sunday attacks. Addressing an event organised by the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants yesterday, Dr. Kumaraswamy pointed to the fact that a very large state of the economy being untouched by effects of the devastating attacks as cause for his optimism.
As you all know, growth came down to 3.2% last year from 3.4% the year before that. Now the central bank calculates the potential growth rate at 5%. So clearly we have an output gap. We should be doing better. And the reason for the slowdown of the economy last year, one of the main reasons was the contraction in the construction sector, which actually contracted by 2.1%. That's one area where we need to improve. So what's going to happen this year? As of the 18th of April, the central bank's forecast for growth this year was 4%. The IMF was at 3.5%. But clearly there will be a hit, particularly in the tourism sector and its supply chains and the whole ecosystem around tourism. Beyond that, another sector is that the retail sector has taken a bit of a hit. And of course, people's incomes will be affected, which means that aggregate demand will be less, and that will again have an impact on the growth rate. But having said that, it must also be recognized that very large swathes of the economy have been untouched. I'm talking now about the productive capacity of the economy. If you look at the manufacturing sector, of course, there was that pasta plant in the northwest province that was destroyed. But outside that, I don't know of any significant manufacturing capacity that has been affected. There's enough of the economy that's untouched for us to have a robust bounce back in terms of creating the right environment for growth, particularly for recovery in the tourism sector. The government is really operating on three fronts. One is security. Significant advances have been made. And on the back of that, we are beginning to see the travel advisories relax. Clearly, we need to build on that, and we need to accelerate that as much as possible.
Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy also touched on the developments in financial markets.
What's been interesting is that since the 18th of April, which was the last working day before Easter Sunday, if you look at the government securities market, we have had 6 treasury bill auctions. On each occasion, the yields have come down. On the one-year benchmark treasury bill rate, the yields have come down by about 102, 103% since the 18th of April. We had the largest bond auction ever, 120 billion. I think it was Monday before last. Again, the yields came down. You look at our international sovereign bonds. On the 18th of April, we issued a dual tranche, 5-year, 10-year ISBs in March. On the 10-year issuance, yields were down about 80 basis points. On the 5-year, about 65. Now they have widened. They're about 10 basis points below the issuance price. However, despite everything, the price is still inside the cost at the time of issuance, which is an indication to us that these markets are still open to us.
Sri Lankan shares rose for the second, or rather the third straight session today on hope of a rate cut by the central bank. This week, the all-share price index ended 0.09% firmer at 5,324.54. Turnover was 223.5 million rupees, less than half of this year's daily average of around 554.5 million rupees. Foreign investors in the meantime bought a net 42 million rupees worth of shares today. We have a brief report on today's market performance.
Today in the bond market, foreign selling was witnessed ahead of tomorrow's monetary policy announcement, while the yield curve was seen shifting slightly upwards with moderate volumes. Foreign selling was mainly centered on short-tenor maturities. In the equity market, ASPI stabilized above 5,300 levels, recording a 2.5 weeks high, mainly contributed by Ceylon Tobacco and SLTL. A net foreign inflow was witnessed in John Keel's and Commercial Bank amidst high foreign participation.
And in the rupee market, the Sri Lankan currency ended weaker at 176 rupees and 40 to 50 cents per US dollar compared with yesterday's close of 176.25 to 35 cents. Analysts expect the rupee to weaken further as money flows out of stocks and government securities in the aftermath of the Easter attacks. Let's now take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies of the world. The very latest from overseas and of course sports is coming up after this short break. And in international news, there are calls for US President Donald Trump to be impeached following Special Counsel Robert Mueller's first public remarks, which came yesterday. Mueller said his investigation had not exonerated Trump of obstruction of justice, adding that charging a sitting president with a crime was not an option. The Special Counsel was tasked with probing Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election in the United States. He also announced the formal closure of the Special Counsel office and his resignation from the Justice Department to return to private life.
The first volume of the report details numerous efforts emanating from Russia to influence the election. This volume includes a discussion of the Trump campaign's response to this activity, as well as our conclusion that there was insufficient evidence to charge a broader conspiracy. If we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so. We did not, however, make a determination as to whether the president did commit a crime. It explains that under long-standing department policy, the president cannot be charged with a federal crime while he is in office. That is unconstitutional. Even if the charge is kept under seal and hidden from public view, that too is prohibited. The Special Counsel's office is part of the Department of Justice, and by regulation, it was bound by that department policy. Charging the president with a crime was therefore not an option we could consider. Now, I hope and expect this to be the only time that I will speak to you in this manner. I am making that decision myself. There has been discussion about an appearance before Congress, and the report is my testimony. There were multiple, systematic efforts to interfere in our election, and that allegation deserves the attention of every American.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced a new cabinet in which, for the first time in the country's history, half of all ministers are women. Another surprise move is that one of the women being from the opposition. The African National Congress Party won the general election on the 8th. Ramaphosa, who also reduced the amount of ministers in what he called a bloated cabinet from 36 to 28 ministers at present. Well, Julian Assange's lawyer says that the WikiLeaks founder was too ill to appear at his court hearing in London today. 47-year-old Assange is fighting against being extradited to the United States over charges related to leaking US government secrets. He had been due to appear at his case management hearing via video link from Belmarsh prison, but his lawyer said he was not very well. According to WikiLeaks, Assange has been moved to the medical ward in jail. A spokesman for the whistleblowing website said it had grave concerns about Assange's health. Assange's defense lawyer said that his state of health last Friday was such that it was not possible to conduct a normal conversation with the WikiLeaks founder. And that's all from First at 9 for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Indira Yamwat. Good night.